Told the plug I need 100 pigs. Now my shoebox got 100 G. I told my plug I need 100 pigs. Now my shoebox got 100 G. Told the plug I need 100 pigs. Now my shoebox got 100 G. I told my plug I need 100 pigs. Now my shoebox got 100 G. I'm in Cali every week. I go hard. Bro said he got sour, need that whole yard. I'm chasing turkey bag. I'm chasing gold yard. Tell us down, we won't go far.
Right.
Blue sherbet stuff the whole jar.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Cannabis Corner on WNHHLP 103.5 FM, broadcasting live from downtown New Haven. We are streaming live on TuneIn Radio and NewHavenIndependent.org. We are also streaming live video on Facebook Live. Just go to facebook.com/New Haven Independent or go to your Facebook page and look us up. I can't really hear myself in here, so I'm going to, there it is. Okay. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Joe LaChance here, Joe the Weed Guy. I'm flying solo for now. I'm awaiting the arrival of my co-host, Uncle Lou. It doesn't look like Kebra will be making it today because she was in Hartford for a hearing on adding chronic pain to the medical marijuana program, which had a hearing today, which is very important. For those of you who don't know, chronic pain and opioid withdrawal and abuse disorder was brought up before the legislature this session to be added to the medical marijuana program, which in turn would add quite a few patients to the program, making it much more available to many, many more people, thereby helping them get off their opioids, which is really one of the main goals of what the medical marijuana program and putting those bills in is to help people who are on opioids, who are now dependent on opioids for their pain relief, possibly find an alternative method to relieving their pain. So this is why they want to add it to the medical marijuana program. And I urge you to support your legislators and tell them to vote yes if you're a medical marijuana patient when the vote comes up. So please do that. Vote for opioid withdrawal, abuse disorder, and chronic pain to be added to the medical marijuana program. So that's where Kebra is today. We will probably have her call in a minute. I'm just going to wait for Uncle Lou to get here. He did tell me he's on his way. Apparently there's some kind of traffic going on. So anyway, there's a lot going on in the cannabis world out here in Connecticut. Things are really heating up in the legalization debate. I attended personally last week. I attended a press conference with the Senate Democrats, where they introduced their version of a marijuana bill, which I'm going to get to right here. So the Senate Democrats, they unveiled their proposals on Wednesday that would not only legalize the tax and sale of marijuana, but also expunge certain criminal records involving marijuana offenses. So this is important. The Senate bill specifically states this. So we have an opportunity. Douglas McCrory, who's been a very good champion of equity in the cannabis industry, actually put in a bill called SB 690, which Connecticut NORML and both Cure Connecticut are supporting. Doug McCrory said, we have an opportunity to correct a wrong. We need to correct something that has destroyed families, neighborhoods, and communities for years. Policymakers knew drinking was harmful, but realized the ban was. He was talking about the prohibition in the 1920s. He made an example of Harry Anslinger, and he said, policymakers knew that drinking was harmful, but realized an absolute ban was futile. What we need, as we have done with alcohol, and guys, you all got to remember that, all you opponents of legalization who love to drink your beer and everything, it was once illegal too. So once they realized that they couldn't really hold it back anymore, they made it legal. And this is what's happening now. So your precious alcohol was once illegal once too. So what we need is what we have done with alcohol and what we have done with tobacco is a plan for legalization. So the Senate Democrats seem to get it. Their bill is SB 690 that they are putting in for legalization. And that bill basically states that whatever marijuana legalization program puts in must include equity And that equity includes fair and equitable licensing. That equity includes an entryway for ex-offenders to get into the industry. That includes funds being designated to areas which have been disproportionately affected by the war on drugs. And that also includes expungement of records. Now, for those of you who don't know, expungement of records is a little bit different here in Connecticut, because when you get a marijuana offense, a cocaine offense, a heroin offense, it's all considered controlled substances. So when you get arrested, it's possession of a controlled substance. So in order for them to expunge all the marijuana ones that they want to do, they have to really go through the files and figure out which ones are marijuana and which ones are worthy of expungement. I don't believe they're going to expunge everybody's marijuana offense record once it becomes legal, but it just seems a logical thing to do to expunge those who were busted for small amounts, nonviolent offenses, people who weren't really trafficking large amounts. So, as Senator McCrory said, there's a big difference between someone moving 4 to 5 kilos versus a dime bag. So if expungement is not a part of the conversation, Senator McCrory won't support it, and neither will we. We had a nice meeting last week with Cure Connecticut, Connecticut Normal, and Cure Connecticut, put together a meeting, and we've decided to come out with a uniform platform. And both organizations decided that we will not support any bill that does not spell out an equity licensing program, that does not spell out an expungement, entry level, all these things. We will not support any bill. And since HB 5595 does not support that bill, we will not support House Bill HB 5595. We are supporting Senate Bill 690. And we are supporting Robin Porter's Grow Rights bill, which the number I don't have off the top of my head, but it is a House bill, and that is a bill for grow rights with that Robin Porter put in. So as of now, Connecticut Normal and Cure Connecticut are only supporting SB 690 and Robin Porter's Grow Rights bill. We are not supporting any House bill that's been put in for the legalization schemes that they have, because all the two House bills that have been put in all include piggybacking on the current medical marijuana program to jumpstart recreational. Here's Uncle Lou, just walked in, and we totally disagree with that. That's not something we want to see happen here in Connecticut. The medical marijuana program already has enough issues and enough difficulties. These 4 growers in these 9 dispensaries have enough problems serving, and it's not as much the dispensaries as the growers. They have enough problems servicing the 30,000 patients they have. There are enough issues with that program, and they have a monopoly on the entire medical marijuana game here in Connecticut, and there's no reason they should continue that monopoly and take on the recreational industry as well. Because we're talking about big corporations that 2 of them are no longer even based here in Connecticut. So when the 4 growers started, they were all Connecticut-based companies started by local people. They have all now, 2 of them have been bought out by big corporations. Curaleaf is now multi-state, as well as Green Thumb Industries, which bought AGL, is now multi-state. So what we are trying to prevent is a big corporate takeover of weed here in Connecticut, sort of like a scheme that they tried in Ohio. And Uncle Lou, you got something to say? You're here. Say hi to everybody.
Hey,
I know
how's
you're
it
getting
going,
your
everybody. I was catching my breath because I take the stairs.
Yes. I take the elevator.
Even those small companies that are still here in Connecticut that were once the mom and pop becoming the medical marijuana dispensary are definitely now big business.
Yep.
Because we have 2 that are out of state, and we have 1 that became the largest, almost in the country. So
right.
That makes half of them immediately there, then goes into that whole monopolizing it because they start buying each other out.
Oh, and this is what's happening. I mean, I don't know if people know the nuances of this, but Curaleaf was a Connecticut company started here, bought out by a large company. I believe they were a Canadian company, weren't
Correct.
they? They were bought out by a Canadian company who also bought their name and took on their name for their whole company. See, that's what people don't think. Curaleaf was a single entity at one time. and they really sold their name.
Correct. They sold the brand.
Their brand to this Canadian
And
company,
now
who they're all over the place.
They're international because they're all over
They're
Canada and
Massachusetts, Florida has Curaleafs.
12 states in
12 states
in the union. Yeah.
So there's one of the growers, and now the AGL, which was again a single entity based in Connecticut, was just bought out by Green Thumb Industries, which is
GTI.
another multi-state cannabis corporation, and they're looking to get into more. And
they're looking to buy out of everybody. Their business model clearly states that they're looking to
control,
jump right in and control the market from the beginning. And
yes,
that's where you were speaking. I was listening on my way.
Oh, so good.
And you're right, man. We need to support the fair and equitable entry point for us,
right.
for the non-millionaire ultimately.
Right. The non-rich people. That's the bottom line. It's
I
not
don't
about
have $1 million bond.
Right.
And that's just the bond.
Yeah. $2 million in escrow just to be a grower.
So that's, and that's pretty elitist ultimately. That holds a lot of people out of that entry point.
Well, we only have 4. Only 4 people are in it. So.
Yeah, and it makes it difficult because they do have that first entryway into the recreational marketplace, and they shouldn't.
There's no reason.
They shouldn't. There should be a place for, say, Uncle Lou's Cannabis Lounge. I'm not looking to be the next Curaleaf.
Right.
I don't want to be that big. Allow me to apply for the lowest tiered application. I want the mom and pop. That's what I want.
Right. I mean,
but they're not looking to do that, man.
No, they're not. No. They're not. They're
not
because they're greedy.
Mm-hmm.
They want the money right away. But don't they understand, like these guys, this is what I don't get. These guys paid their money for a medical marijuana license to cultivate.
Correct.
And the dispensaries paid their money to open a medical marijuana dispensary.
Now you're about to hit them with the logic. Oh, no. Oh, no.
So, if you are, and eventually they are going to have to establish new licenses.
Correct.
These people need to buy new licenses if they want to get in the game.
Correct.
There is no reason they should have an automatic entry point, automatic control over the recreational business in Connecticut.
I will piggyback that off of what you were talking about earlier. Yes, your precious alcohol was illegal.
Yes.
Okay. So now, during Prohibition, you can get medical whiskey, but you got it through a pharmacy.
Yes, that's true.
When alcohol became recreational again, you got it at a liquor store.
Yep.
The packy.
Yep.
You didn't go to the pharmacy anymore to pick up your medical.
Right. Absolutely right.
Following that it created a whole new industry.
Yep.
Which allowed the private investor to purchase a storefront and sell alcohol legally with their legal alcohol permit. And I believe, if I'm not wrong, they also allowed medical alcohol for about 2 years after
that. But then it wasn't.
But then it died out because recreational. So they're kind of trying to stop that idea as well.
Right.
But it's already ingrained. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Give us the free market. Don't try to hold it.
Yeah, and that's that's the way this state thinks.
I think recreational should 100% have a separate licensure. So if those big businesses want to get back into the recreational, no problem.
They buy the big license.
Exactly.
I mean, there should be a tiered system. There should be a big license. There should be a medium license, and there should be a small business license.
Yep.
Just like with a liquor store, just like any other industry. So if you want to open a big marijuana company,
correct,
and even if you are Green Thumb, well, get in line.
Yeah.
Or maybe even give them the first, but there has to be a separation between them.
There has to be.
Every license in Connecticut
what I see
cannot
here
be
is,
this $1 million license.
Somebody goes, I just want the option available.
Right. Right.
Give us the option.
We can't. It kicks so many with a $2 million to have an escrow just to get in the game, and then $100,000 as an application fee. Come on, look at what other states are doing. Nobody's cutting even other states, when they did their medical program, did not make the licensing structure so high like Connecticut. We are one of the highest in the country.
Yeah.
So, and if you're allowing the DCP to administer this program, which is what 5595 says, then you're just going to continue that trend of high-end licensing.
We're 100% with that, and we shouldn't be allowing that at all. And that's why we don't necessarily
we don't support it.
That bill 100% shows the corporate greed side of it, and
there's so much more wrong with it too that people don't even get.
It puts police in schools.
That was I was just going to say policing in schools.
That's where my biggest thing is.
A 5 nanogram You know how small of a amount, a 5 nanogram amount in your blood? Oh, all right. We got
a call in.
It is 120.
All
hey,
right.
who do we got on the call? It's Lupino.
Hey, how's it going, fellas?
What's happening?
Not much, man. Just calling in. Just
checking in.
Intrigued about your conversation.
Well, yes.
Well, like, to kind of add to it, right? What you guys are just talking about. When it comes to alcohol, the only time it becomes medical, like it ends up being in a surgery room. When we talk about ether, as far as like the same molecular structure, supposedly, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with cannabis, there most certainly is a medical aspect to it, 100%.
Well, as we know, before it was illegal, there was tons of medicines out with cannabis in it.
Oh, yes.
Right. So for these, big dispensaries or big, these corporate entities to say that they're inferior, like it might happen in prohibition, well, that's just false fear for them, because there actually is a whole market, a whole lane, a whole industry for medical cannabis.
They have 30,000 captive customers already. I mean, come on. There will get more.
They're going to get another 10,000 if
they
hopefully pass these new medical
conditions. Right. So I mean, they have a thriving business.
30, I did the math really fast. Just on the 30. 30,704.
Okay.
Right. The only allotments for their monthly allotment on flower only, it's about $42.9 million annually.
Right. You see, they've got a thriving industry already. Let's build on that. They got licenses to serve the medical marijuana industry. The dispensaries got licenses to serve the medical marijuana industry. Serve them. Fix what's broken in the medical industry before you try to even add recreational to it. There's so many things that they could make better, and if they just focused on the industry that they were licensed for and make that better, they already have a monopoly, they already control it, make it better, improve on it, grow it. It certainly will grow. The patient numbers are going to grow, and this whole thing, like you said, recreational needs to be a separate entity in a separate type of marketplace, and this is what the state needs to realize. Okay. You there, Lou?
Sure.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So that being said, part of what is in the HB 5595 is grow rights, and but there is also a bill put in by Robin Porter for medical patients to now have grow rights. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because there is an event on Sunday which kind of would help people who were interested in that learn more about it. Am I correct, Lou?
Correct.
You are correct. Gene Traders.
You can explain it a little better than me.
The Oakdale Theater in Wallingford, Connecticut, the very famous Connecticut venue, Oakdale Theater, which is amazing for us as far as being attached to such an amazing venue. The whole point of the event is to make sure that people really understand, what it means, not what it means, but what growing a cannabis plant, is. Some basic information about stuff, which is something that everybody really should know and really understand. What I love about this event coming up, it is a little bit preemptive, but the whole purpose of it is, if you look at the bills now, almost all of them include grow rights, correct?
Yes. So
one way or another, grow rights will happen in the state of Connecticut. What's the biggest question that we're all asking ourselves is how the industry is going to end up unfolding and which regulations are actually going to be put in place. I am definitely for SB 690, and the more clear the law ends up being, the easier it'll be to actually get to market, the easier it'll be to actually set up some regulations and not be delayed for years and years. On average, talking about even at a fast pace, a year and a half.
Right.
At a slow pace, 2.5, 3 years, something more or less like what kind of mass is doing in a way, but that's because of the way their laws or regulations are actually written out. But just like Mass, just like Rhode Island, they'll end up having personal grow rights. So rather than try to concentrate more on the business aspect, because there's a lot of expos and conventions dealing with the business aspect. We want to deal with the personal lives for the individual to be able to know how to cultivate their own thing and what it actually means. That there's nothing insane about growing a plant. That it's actually is very therapeutic for a lot of people. As myself, as a veteran, it is very therapeutic. Now I don't do it in Connecticut because we don't have that yet. But I have a buddy in Rhode Island that allows me to actually, help him out with cultivating his, personal plants. And I get this like Zen type of feeling every time. I mean, the temperature is just right, humidity is just right, it's just comfortable, music is playing. And besides the medicine, and even still, people tell you, garden during the warm months. It's actually beneficial for you. It's just like walking in the woods. You end up. It's a stress reliever. Besides the actual, taking the medicine in.
Yeah.
Just being around it and actually dealing with it is beneficial.
That plant therapy, one might say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. So now, what can people expect when they walk into the Oakdale on Sunday? What will they be seeing there?
So they will be walking into some vendors dealing with information about what actually takes to cultivate a little plant, and how to best choose the genetics, because something that people don't understand when it comes to actually cultivating your own plant is these genetics come from different parts of the world, different parts of different hemispheres. So depending which part of the world the genetics are actually from, would determine what kind of environment you would end up having in your own personal grow. Some take a lot hotter, humid, environment. Some take a lower temperature or much drier conditions. So knowing these little nuances actually helps you to figure out for either a medical patient trying to get a specific type of benefit from a specific type of strain or cultivar. Really helps you out in trying to figure out how which one to actually cultivate once the time comes.
Right. And especially now here in Connecticut, obviously different strains would do better than other ones. So you probably would be able to tell people, here, you live in Connecticut, this is the type of temperature we have. This is the strains that are going to do better here. Don't buy these because these do better in drier or whatever areas, right? So this is where people really are going to be able to learn, the real subtle nuances of growing and what it takes.
So what I'm hearing as well is, you're getting these information booths and vendors that may have came up with some of these cultivar that are currently being used at the dispensaries. And at the dispensary, you really can't get very much information about what the strain does for you or where it's from or the provenance that comes along with it. And we don't even get the real name. We've got to jump on a website to find the real name. And then from there, we have to jump on another website to figure out what this might do for me medically, when on Sunday you can kind of come to this event and you'll have somebody that has worked with these cultivars and you're able to actually ask them questions about what might be good for me.
Yeah, and you will have some CBD vendors there as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Actually, too, they'll have some CBD seed vendors specifically dealing. I think it's some ACDC and some Charlotte's Web.
Oh, very good.
Something that I've always I tried to explain to these medical dispensaries in Connecticut is that first and foremost, the people that are standing behind the counter have almost zero to no idea because they're licensed pharmacists, and licensed pharmacists don't have the schooling or the teaching to actually understand that the names point to the genetics, and the genetics will tell you what part of the world it's actually from, and how and what's more likely to actually come as far as some of the terpenes or some of the cannabinoids. Like for Charlotte's Web, named after the little girl named Charlotte because it's higher in CBD to stop her seizures. That's a simple explanation as to why, even though they call it street names, these are actually it might be more like a heritage to tell you where they came from and what's most likely to expect when you're looking for a specific type of effect when it comes to this plant.
Well, that's very interesting.
You got to pay some bills, though.
Oh yeah, let me read this here, and then we're going to talk about hemp. You're listening to Cannabis Corner on WNHHLP 103.5 FM, broadcasting live from downtown New Haven. We are streaming live on TuneIn Radio and NewHavenIndependent.org. We're also streaming live video on Facebook Live. Just go to facebook.com/New Haven Independent or go to your Facebook page and look us up. Thank you for reminding me.
No worries,
Lou keeps me on point.
So, no. It's a team. It's a team.
You know, I'm supposed to read it 3 times during the show. I usually only get it out once. So.
Twice. Always in the beginning and once at the end. We need to make sure to keep getting that middle one then.
Okay. So anyway.
Riveting conversation.
That's right. And I'm looking forward to being there. I personally will have a table there, be selling some CBD products made from hemp, which is federally legal now.
Yes, sir.
And I wanted to talk to you a little bit because I know you're also involved in this hemp farming expo. And technically, like you say, the high CBD, no THC or very, very low is hemp.
Yes.
Is hemp. And we're going to be talking about hemp at Gene Traders as well, correct?
We're going to be talking about a little bit about hemp as far as when it comes to trying to find the names and find the higher CBD, like 20 to 1s, 2 to 1s, depending on what really works for your particular ailment or illness. Also dealing with topicals and stuff like that. It's generally going to end up dealing more with Gene Traders is going to deal more with the cultivation of a cannabis plant for personal use. But
you have
for
something
the
in
Farming
March,
Hemp Expo, we're actually going to have big presentations. We're going to have Dr. Uma going to come down. She's going to talk about the endocannabinoid system in each of our bodies. Nice 45-minute presentation with a Q&A portion. We're going to end up having a whole bunch of other different types of seed vendors, and we always try to focus to make sure that each vendor understands that, this is a new market, so they have to be able to share a knowledge, not just with somebody that knows what they're doing, but also a novice that are really interested into this new industry.
Wow. So that sounds, both of those events sound like for somebody who wants to learn more and possibly start growing their own and getting into the industry, a great place to learn and a great place to start. And even for those who are already in it, it would be a great place to learn more and to network and to meet other people.
Correct. And even just from, having conversations with Lou, a new, I guess, a New England craft cannabis is going to come down.
Right.
Is going to come down next week, this Sunday, to the Gene Traders as well. So it's getting a lot of support from that the idea of the craft boutique cannabis world in New England, where, New England has a large bulk of legalized states.
If we could get the craft marijuana industry up to the same level as the craft beer industry in Connecticut,
oh my God,
it's one of the biggest in the country. We have right. So why can't we do the same here? Why can't we be known for that craft beer, craft weed? And then we put them together, and we have beer and weed.
But
why shouldn't we be known
for that? It's kind of like
that?
heading that way.
Yeah.
It's
well, if we can stop 5595,
it actually has to do because of our weather.
Yeah.
Because we can't grow outdoors year round like the West can.
Right.
If you do, you got to have some very high tech, very insulated indoor with a glass roof, that whole thing.
Yeah, it's even difficult in
supplemental
greenhouse
lighting and everything. But because of the fact that we have to, whichever state you're talking about has to cultivate indoors, we get to give it more attention. And if anybody knows anything about growing cannabis, the more attention you actually give it, the better it comes out. So these massive like facilities you see, like weed as far as the eye can see, if you don't see an army of individuals out there, that's not going to be great. That's going to be okay, but that's not going to be great because you have to really, really nurture that
plant. Look at almost every
That's why
bud.
a home grower or a craft grower ends up being by far some of the best cannabis you'll ever have.
Right.
Yeah.
You are absolutely
I haven't
right.
had any of that in a long
time. I really think we really need to push.
Oh, you got me salivating over here, bro.
There we go.
I'm sorry. I've only been having dispensary mids.
We understand. It's like when you tell us, it's like this
corporate
is a craft,
weed.
this is a small garden, and they know what they're doing. Forget about it. You know that you're going to get this full flavor. You're going to get good taste. You're going to get good smoke. You're going to get white ash.
It's not. So I get my bud from the dispensary,
and
and I hate to say that it sucks, but this weekend I was up in in Massachusetts, and I was sitting with a couple craft cannabis individuals, and we, oh, here, try this. You don't got this down there. Try this. You don't got. I had to spend the night up there. I couldn't drive home.
See, you were smart enough to do that.
I hit up a
because
little.
You knew you had more than 5 nanograms.
I had more than 5 nanograms in my system, so I stayed.
That sounds like a T-shirt.
So I stayed in Massachusetts, and Ellen Moore was my host. We do a ton of things up there, and she does web design for the Harvest Cup and for Mass Growers Cannabis Alliance, and so it was pretty cool. I was up there with Peter Bernard from Mass Can Growers, or I forget what organization.
He works with the Harvest Cup.
Yeah, he does the Harvest Cup as well. So that idea of the craft boutique cannabis is alive and well all over the country, and there's no reason why Connecticut shouldn't have it as well.
Right.
And believe me, I did not have
That's
any.
why I don't really agree with what Cure Leaf. I wasn't really too big of a fan of their product anyway.
Right.
It all tastes the same, to be honest with you. Like
Right.
they're not flushing like some nutrient out, or they're spraying something.
And
I don't
they
know. It tastes
definitely
weird to
use
me.
tumblers.
But the
like
fact
the
that they're
buds
so
look
spread
horrible.
out, and the fact that they're more of what you consider a normal corporation,
Yep.
bottom line, means that they're more likely to have one of those gigantic, sprawling facilities just pumping out mids.
Yep.
That's all they can do. That's all.
Yeah.
That's it. I wanted to touch base real quick, Lou. Speaking of the Hemp Farming Expo and hemp becoming legal federally, there's been a trend lately in a couple of states to be taking CBD products and banning them, taking them off the shelf, saying that they're not FDA approved, even though they've been legalized federally by the Farm Bill, and they're all derived from hemp. What are your thoughts on that? And is this isolated incidents, or is this something that could become a trend?
It's one of those I like to call them reflexes. Like putting something like this, even though it's not harmful, but it's been so negatively like frowned upon for so long that some people are just naturally scared without fully understanding it. So this ends up being like a knee-jerk reflex to like, oh wait, hold on, wait a second, until we really understand what's going on. But you know, the pace of government, it takes them a while to actually they're quick to like ban something, punish something, take money, fines, but when it comes to reversing that, it takes them a little bit.
Yeah.
It's just that little bit of like, you know, residual reefer madness.
Yeah.
It's just the American public has been smoking on that reefer madness for so long that this is just like we're towards the roach, in my opinion. I think we're towards the very end of this, and it's just a matter of time, you know, before it all goes. That they won't be able to deny it. That any naysayer, people are just gonna like completely shut out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can already see the trend going that way.
Yeah, and so what I'm also thinking is, as these states are taking the idea of it's not federally approved as an FDA food additive,
Right, that's what they're taking.
Right, it also goes into how is it being marketed, because ultimately, if it's not being marketed as an FDA approved food additive, because we take supplements that are not FDA approved all the time. They're sold at CVS, and it's how we speak about it. If we spoke about CBD more as a supplement versus a food additive or sold
medicine,
instead of calling it medicine, because when you call it medicine, the FDA and everybody wants to get involved, and they want to say, okay, now you're making medical claims.
Which is what they're saying. They're saying now
Right.
only dispensaries can sell CBD.
Right. That's what they're trying to push towards. And as long as we make sure we keep, because that's going to go with a change of culture as well. So now it's legal. How do we talk about it?
Right.
That's what I think that's coming down. Do we still yell the saving graces of it and say that it's the medical cure-all because it's legal now? Or now that it's legal, we take the time and truly discuss what it's about and how to properly talk about it, because now claims can be said, it's legal, and you're claiming that it's a medicine. Well, that's illegal, that making the claim.
Right.
Not the actual thing you're doing. But if you speak about it as a supplement, you know, this is one of those. This is like cod liver oil I take every day. My cod liver oil isn't federally approved, and it'll say that right on the bottle. It'll say it's third party tested, it's this, that, and the other. But it's, you know, this claim has not been evaluated by the FDA. You see that little asterisk?
Yeah,
on
you see, I put it on all the CBD products I sell,
and that's because it's not an FDA supported claim. And as long as you don't claim that, that's where you're not breaking that rule.
Right. But I think this is one of those cases where
Yeah.
the FDA put out, it was before nobody was even bothering with
care.
it. They didn't care. Now the FDA becomes legal. FDA puts out a statement, and now everything changes, even though really nothing has changed.
Nothing's changed.
That's because money's being made.
That's right.
Right. You're absolutely right. And this is probably something they'll address at the Hemp Farm Expo, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just has to do with the FDA and their marriage to the pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah.
Correct.
This is just their way of slowing things down.
Yeah, because they have to come up with some kind of standard.
This is costing them money.
Yeah.
Like, this is costing them a lot of money. This isn't something that it's going to be something to like not notice. When people are taking way less painkillers and way less opioids, and it's noticeable. Like on average, I think it ended up being like 1,900 less per million per capita. I forgot what the number was. I gotta look it up. But it ended up being a decent amount for them to like really react to it. This is all their lobbyists. This is the same old tactic that has always been.
Oh yeah.
Delay, get in the way, vilify.
The thing is, though, the pharmaceutical industry, I think what they need to realize, and I think they're starting to realize, is opioids' time is done.
Oh, yeah.
The people themselves are turning against opioids. So they would be benefiting themselves if they started researching cannabis as well and starting looking into it as a medicine.
Because
instead
remember,
of fighting
cyanide was a medicine at one time.
Yeah.
Now everybody looks at it as
doing
poison.
that, though. They actually
They'll do the same thing
when
now.
they actually descheduled.
Right.
The whole point of the descheduling from 1 to 5 was you start looking at it, and 5 actually says that you actually have to get FDA approval in order, like we were talking about, to actually be put on a shelf and say it's medical and all that
That's
stuff.
the DEA
But in order
schedule.
to get that actually like labeling, you have to go through their whole procedure, which costs millions of dollars.
Right.
That only pharmaceutical companies have, which is funny too, because I started learning that. Been watching a lot of federal politics, that we end up paying for a lot of this. The taxpayers end up paying for a lot of this initial, research into all these type of drugs, and then once we kind of like we're okay with it, we end up handing it over to a civilian company, and the civilian company makes all the money. We don't get any return on that investment that we made to research that drug when it comes to the FDA and NIH, all that stuff.
Wow. See, that's something I did not know.
Still,
either.
that's why they did it, to make sure that these the corporations still got theirs. Because if anybody's gonna make money off of medical, it's gonna be them. That's how they're looking at it.
Right.
Even though we can end up calling hemp seeds, you can take them. It's not medical, but it's for fiber. And like any kind of nutrient or anything else, you end up taking it for your health betterment. You can end up saying that with any of the hemp stuff, that it's just for fiber or for protein, and it's true. That's a fact.
That is a fact.
But they're also kind of saying that you have to be careful even calling it a dietary supplement.
Right, and that's where the confusion comes in, because we know the World Health Organization declared it non-harmful, the CDC declared it all non-harmful. So, like you say, it's just the FDA dragging their feet, not putting out the regulations they said they would. They said in their statement that they need to come up with standards, and that's fine. But like you said, that's going to cost a lot of people a lot of money to get tested and get FDA approved and all that. And all these small businesses that have started using CBD are, I know people in Maine who's already been hurt by it. So, they're putting people out of business here. Like you say, for the sake of big corporations, for the sake of controlling it and making a lot more money in fees on it. So
this is America.
This is America, and that's what we're dealing. We're dealing with here in Connecticut with this corporate weed thing. So,
I mean, they're trying to get away with it. We're not letting them.
No, we are not going to let them.
To say that it's being a cakewalk for them. No way.
That they thought it was too.
We are pretty in their face about it. We're all over social media. They even if this passes, which I seriously doubt, the people will not go uneducated about what it really means.
I won't support them. And I will not buy from them.
I don't know. I say burn it down. If it doesn't include stuff for small businesses, it just doesn't make sense to end up giving this thing to a few corporations, right? An example, a small business, like let's say Ricky D's barbecue shop, right?
Right.
A small business, they end up employing between 4 and 5 individuals. In one of these grow facilities, as far as 25,000 like that, you end up having about 4 or 5, 5 or 6 individuals, the same amount. But if you only leave it to corporations, that means only a handful of them actually end up hiring those few people. But if you leave it to small businesses, each one hiring 5 to 6, that's
Right.
a lot of jobs, a lot of property taken up. That's property taxes, that's, payroll taxes. That's more people working, more people injecting money into their local communities, stores, convenience stores. People getting hired for construction jobs, to have new build outs, to the amount of money that could be generated by legalization, and I'm not even including what the actual sales tax are. I'm talking about all the ancillary businesses that end up just supporting the cannabis industry,
Right.
is enough to actually make any politician put away their doubts and actually get behind this.
Right. Right. And I will say there's a few things going on up there on the Capitol that may change may change the landscape a little. I can't really talk about it yet, but there may be another bill coming out. You never know. You never know. These things happen in politics. So because right now me and Lou were talking, we don't support any bill out of the House. All we support is SB 690 and the Patient Grow Rights bill, which is Robin Porter's bill. So 5595 and the other one that Juan Candelaria put in, as long as they say that the current medical marijuana system is going to jumpstart the recreational, we're not supporting it. I mean, that's just it. So
they really got to stop saying that Connecticut has the golden standard system. That is a complete lie. It's not.
And if
I'm not saying it's the very worst, but it sure is not the very best. It is not.
And if they
it's
believe
very
that,
overpriced. It's completely locked out everybody but rich people.
Right.
And at the end of the day, the one that ends up paying the ultimate price is the patients.
Right.
Like most of the patients are elderly people, senior citizens.
Mm-hmm.
Taking advantage of the elderly of our population, it should be shameful. They should really be ashamed of themselves.
Right.
If they just want to duplicate that system,
leave it the way it is. Yeah. You think it's the golden system? Why would you want to corrupt it with recreational? Bottom line.
It's not though.
No, we know it's not.
And every politician that says that publicly, somebody needs to stand up and whatever who you are and say that's not true. That's a lie.
Right.
You have nothing to back that up. Matter of fact, why don't people start asking them that? Where's the data on that?
On
Where's
how
the
good
proof?
it is, yeah.
Because there isn't.
No. They're listening to these growers. They're lobbyists, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
Yep, that is the problem. But
There's
like
a whole
you said,
lot of lobbyists.
I don't think you will see this 5595 go through the way it is.
All right.
Unless they do some serious work on it. All right, Lou, we got to let you go. Before we do, tell us how we can get in touch with you or in touch with Gene Traders and how to go to these events that we got coming up, the Gene Traders and the Farm Hemp Expo.
All right, so coming up this Sunday from 12 to 5, February 17th, at the Oakdale Theater in Wallingford, Connecticut. You will have Gene Traders where people can end up actually asking cultivators from other states like Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Maine, Michigan that have experience dealing with home cultivation. Ask them these little nuances. And you could also end up sitting down and listening to some speakers actually talk about, small personal cultivation.
Excellent.
You could end up finding out more information on our website at gene-traders.com, or you can go to our Facebook page. You can look it up at Gene Traders, same with IG as well at Gene Traders. And on March 9th, early next month, we're going to have the Farming Hemp Expo, and that's going to be it's strictly going to be hemp. Talking to farmers in Connecticut to try to get more small farmers to actually cultivate hemp. There's over 50,000 products that can be made off of this. Save the environment, a lot of different stuff. Of course, the medical side, the CBD. We're going to have professionals from around, that are world-renowned doctors and nurses, and medical professionals are going to be speaking to people about CBD, and we're going to have professional industrial growers talking to people about cultivating hemp on their personal farms. It's a lot of information. You guys just have to come by at the Oakdale Theater.
All right, and that's
sir.
farminghempexpo.com?
Yeah, that's farminghempexpo.com and gene-traders.com.
Excellent, Lou. Great talking to you. We will see you Sunday.
Thank you, sir.
I'm looking forward to it. And
All right, gentlemen.
talk to you then. All right. So, what time? We got a few more minutes extra.
4 minutes, Joe.
All right. Well, I want to give a big shout out to Cody Roberts.
Yes, sir.
I got to do this on the show in public. Cody Roberts, when you guys know who Sam is, right? You know who Sam, smart approaches, stupid approaches to marijuana. I called him the notorious SAM. They went out there and they staged this little media stunt where about 10 of them came out and went in front of the offices of the company that put up the billboard for the Weed Maps. The Weed Maps billboard that says, weed is legal in 60 miles. So they went in there and they were going to protest this sign. So about 10 of them came out there with a bunch of signs. They notified the media that they were going to do this, but they didn't notify anyone else.
No.
It wasn't on Facebook.
No.
It wasn't publicly noted anywhere. They just sent out a press release to the media and said they were going to be doing it. There were only about 10 of them, right? And the reason I'm saying this is because we found out about it beforehand. Cody found out about it. They just didn't want anybody crashing their party. He went down there to the protest at 10 o'clock when they were there. They showed up. Cody showed up with his marijuana flag on and a sign that said legalize marijuana. And he literally faced them single-handedly and started going after them. And the media came down, right? Interviewed them. And then after they interviewed the Sam people, they went and interviewed Cody. He got on every major TV station, and he got 2 articles in the paper. He got more coverage than they did, got better press than they did. And the worst part about it is, you know what he said? They had scheduled the rally from 10 o'clock to noon. The minute the press left, so did they. Those people came out there just for a press opportunity.
That was it.
That was it. To make a little trouble, come out for a press opportunity. They were literally out there, Cody said, for 15 to 20 minutes and left. That shows how dedicated. And Cody stayed later than they did.
Very good.
So I got to give a shout out to Cody. He is a street warrior, a lone warrior in this game. Well, he's part of our team, but for him to do that, I give him a lot of credit, and he really helped the cause.
Yes,
got out there and got a lot of coverage for us. So, all right. So here's what's happening in the world of cannabis. We have let's see, next week is Canna Gather.
Yes,
is at the Shish Kebab House on the 13th. That is next Wednesday night. 17th, we spoke about Gene Traders. That's this Sunday at noon at the Oakdale Theater. Please come on down. The 20th is the Connecticut Normal meeting. That is at the Rough Draft in Hamden. So that starts at 7 o'clock for anybody who wants to come down and join the cause of Connecticut Normal. On the 23rd, we have a special class, Cooking with Cannabis, with our notorious Uncle Lou here.
That's right.
And that is one of our most popular classes and one of the favorite classes because it seems to be more fun. Because I do believe that we do some sampling in there. So
it's a good time.
It's a good class. Starts at 10 o'clock on the 23rd. You can
learn
contact
food
us.
Safety. You learn the basics of food safety.
Decarboxylation. All the whole deal.
The whole thing. So you can get yourself some usable supplements for yourself. Your own ingestion method. I also have just a little out there. Pay and Toke, Canna Create the brand. Also works with a ton of other people throughout the country. This weekend, Melissa Bouchard has an event through our branding company. And everything,
good.
Up in Rhode Island.
Is that invite only or?
Invite only.
But if they want to go, you can call Uncle Lou.
You can. Well, they can hit the website up, and if you're a medical patient, you can go to the event just following those same bring your own cannabis laws. So it is a bring your own event. So there will be no cannabis provided. They're providing food though. And you can't smoke inside. So if you're a medical patient, you can go outside and medicate, like a regular Rhode Island medical patient responsibilities.
Very cool.
But there's going to be full food. It's not a very expensive event either. They're charging $60, and that'll be an instructor-led class, food, and you can medicate yourself as well.
Excellent.
So
we hope to do some of that here.
Yep, we do those events all over the country now. We've been doing it in my Kebra's office. We've been doing it in Massachusetts. We've been doing. Ashley from Present Naturals has actually continued the brand on the West Coast, so we're trying, brother. We're trying.
Hey, man, we gotta. That's why we need small business in cannabis.
And hopefully one day maybe GTI wants to buy me out.
I don't know about that. But, there are a couple things I did want to talk about for next week. Boston is trying to rewrite their whole licensing system.
They gave a lot of power to the cities and townships. So because of that, Boston got so many applications that the standard, that whole 15% or 3%, I apologize. It was a 3% reinvestment into the community as their host agreement. A lot of towns didn't get any applications. Some towns banned it. Some towns embraced it. Worcester got about 6 or 7. Yeah. Springfield got like 15. Boston got an absorbent number of applications. And that's where it gave them the huge power with that 3%. That 3% turned into a huge number.
They need to do that here.
And they're going to make their own rules.
Harry's kicking us off. You're listening to Cannabis Quarter on WNHHLP 103.5 FM, broadcasting live from downtown New Haven. We're streaming live on TuneIn Radio and NewHavenIndependent.org. We're also streaming live video on Facebook Live. Just go to Facebook.com, New Haven Independent, and just go to your Facebook page and look us up. Shout out to Kebra. Check out Canna Help for her hours this week.
100%.
Sorry we didn't have you call in, dear. We just got caught up in the conversation. But we will see you next week. You're always out there doing good work.
All right.
Love you.
Stay happy, healthy, and high, guys. Love you all.
Bye-bye.
Chasing gold, y'all. Tell us down, we won't go far. Blue sherbet stuff to hold y'all. 100 P's on the Bay Bridge, stuck in traffic. If I ever run in a Riri, let's make magic. Die doing something you love, it ain't tragic. Heard what I said, it ain't tragic. From the home of lay down, smoking ratchets. Never win when you spell it backwards. I got green in the bay, my whole team Packers. Hold the plug, I need 100 P's. And my shoebox got 100 G. I told my plug I need 100 P's. And my shoebox got 100 G. Told the plug I need 100 P's. And my shoebox got 100 G. I told my plug I need 100 P's.